Rain tapped steadily against the tall windows of Our Lady of Sorrows, the droplets racing each other in careful lines. I sat in a folding metal chair in the corner, hands balled in my lap, jacket collar turned up not against the weather, but against the eyes burning holes through me. The cavernous halls smelled of old hymnals and stale coffee, the scent of every gathering since childhood. Heavy wooden beams crisscrossed the ceiling, amplifying every whispered word. Above the entrance, a faded banner read Solidarity and Faith. I wondered which was thinner tonight. The main table had been dragged to the center of the room, forming a makeshift stage. Behind it, my father, Brother Edda, and Dona Valkyria from accounting, her fingers drumming an impatient rhythm against the table's edge. The rest of the community, the great humming force that had known me since I was crawling across this floor, sat on plastic chairs, aligning their bodies toward the spectacle with the unity of a single, disapproving organism. "We bring Lucas here not to embarrass," Brother Edda began, his voice rising above the simmering conversations, "but to help. We believe in keeping each other from mistakes." My father cleared his throat. "He says he wants to write novels in Rio," he declared loudly, frowning at me as though the word itself were filth. A ripple of laughter. Someone muttered, "He'll last a week." I recognized Cousin Junior's nasal tone. I had known this was coming, a concerned intervention, and yet the humiliation bit deeper than any anticipation had warned me it would. Eyes everywhere, pitying, mocking, some even angry at the notion that one of us would dare think himself so special. Mother sat a few rows back, face pinched. She did not meet my gaze. Maybe she hoped if she kept quiet she would not be noticed. "Lucas, explain yourself," Edda prodded. "For the community." My hands trembled, but I forced myself to speak. "I want to write stories, real stories, novels, about people like us in Curitiba, about what matters." My voice shook, thin as the rain streaking the glass. Aunt Clara pressed her hands together. "Who will read that? What about a real job?" Another chorus of murmurs. Heads shook. Father refused to look away. I searched for gentler eyes, a hand extended my way, but there was only silence, thick with half-swallowed laughter. Dona Valkyria sniffed. "You're supposed to help your parents, Lucas." Behind me, Cousin Raphael whispered, "He thinks he's Kafka, he'll be back." Even the old floorboards seemed to echo my lack of belonging. Loss came slowly, like the sinking of a city under groundwater, houses cracking one by one, everyone knowing but no one saying a word. I said nothing else that night. Not when the last threat posed as advice was delivered, nor when Junior muttered again on my way to the door, "Better come back before you're starving." I walked home in the rain, all the color of the evening blurring behind me, the punishing laughter ringing long after the deluge had passed. The small bedroom at the back of our house began to disappear beneath stacks of handwritten pages. Novels about Quartal, about our gnarled families, crooked windows, the texture of late-night bus rides. Pages no one ever saw. I worked day shifts at a bakery to afford bus tickets and scraps of independence. Old Lady Rita let me write at an extra table near the ovens when the last bread came out at dusk. I watched the sunrise in flower-dusted silence, letting dreams play quietly so as not to disturb the careful order of the world. My parents talked about me when they thought I could not hear. "He should learn a trade," Father would say. "This is shameful," Mother always sighed. Once I found the door to my attic haven locked, Father holding the key, silent when I asked. Only after 3 days did he let me back in, after work and after another round of thin-sliced advice. By 20, I had my first manuscript. I mailed it to a publisher in Sao Paulo, the only address I could afford, using brown-wrapped packages and stamps I bought with tips. I waited. 3 months later, a polite slip arrived. "We regret to decline." My hands shook as I read it. I crumpled it up, then smoothed it flat and put it in a drawer. I never told anyone, not when people asked with smirks, "How's the writing going?" Not even at Sunday lunch, when the entire table seemed to lean toward me, collectively hoping I'd fail soon and snap back into place. I felt chiseled down, piece by piece, pride into shame, hope into stubborn resentment. I worked longer hours, I wrote more. Submissions went out to competitions and magazines, small publishers and literary groups. More rejections returned in fat, indifferent envelopes. My father stopped asking, my mother stopped defending. The piles of stories kept growing, the dreams steadily colder and more solitary. The day I left, there was no drama, just a zippered suitcase, a few spiral-bound notebooks, and a half-assed note stuck to the fridge in the dark. "I'm going to Rio, we'll send word." "Don't worry." I took the night bus out, watching lights flicker past as if I were a ghost. Rio was larger and crueler than I could have guessed. The streets smelled of diesel, distant tide, grilled meat. I lived in a pension with 6 roommates and bedbugs. I tutored kids, transcribed phone surveys, and ate beans and rice almost every meal. Still, I wrote in windowless borrowed corners, the city sounds leaking in, the hum of traffic, arguments in the hallway, radios playing for the lonely. I sent stories everywhere. I got rejections faster now by email instead of letter. I read the lists of finalists in poetry contests, flipping quickly past my name when it wasn't there. Sometimes at night I'd walk Leam Beach and look out at black waves, wondering if anyone at home ever missed me, if I would ever return worth missing. Rain in Rio smelled different, deeper, more salt in the air. I miss the bakery, Rita's flour-dusted tables, the crackle of my father's old radio in the early hours, the way people in Curitiba avoid eye contact but always nod, almost against their will. But I could not go back. The years blurred, stitched together by unanswered emails. I published a single short story and it quickly disappeared. I took temp jobs, translating, data entry, cleaning theaters, all while writing. Maury manuscripts piled up, stories peeling in the humidity, no readers but me. Then one afternoon, 3 years in, I got the call. A new indie press wanted my novel, Caminhos de Pedra. It was about my street in Curitiba. About boys who had never been heroes, who stood beneath beams in ugly church halls, waiting to be forgiven for dreams they could not stop having. I had no energy left to celebrate. I said yes in a whisper and felt the sand underfoot, damp and unsteady, as if even success were only half real after so long wishing for it. The book came out in March. They sent me a box. I touched the blue and white cover a dozen times before daring to read my name aloud. Lucas Santiago, but publication did not make me rich. No one at the pension had heard of me. The press hosted a launch party and 10 people came. The reviews trickled in slowly, a little warmth in an ocean of indifference, but something changed. An editor from Sao Paulo read the novel and called me to pitch again. A local paper ran a profile, writer from Curitiba finds his way. After small, miraculous things happened, speaking at a school, a month's rent covered by a prize, my stories finally in print beside other names I'd respected for years. It was not a movie ending, but it was steady, certain. The sadness melted a little. I bought a bus ticket home. The afternoon I returned, Curitiba felt more familiar than I expected. The wet air, jacarandas dropping their sticky purple petals into the gutters. I walked past Rita's bakery, new sign, but her outline visible inside, the graffiti on the bus stop wall unmistakable. I stopped outside the old community hall, the church facade chipped but unchanged. Inside, the assembly was already underway. Sundays had not changed. Older, perhaps a little wearier, my father still presided. Brother Edda now in a wheelchair, grumbling quietly. I entered through the back, nerves fizzing. No one noticed at first. When I reached my mother, she blinked. Then she stood, unsure if she should embrace me. She touched my shoulder lightly, a question in her eyes. Across the room, a wave of attention crashed, people turning, murmuring, trying to count the years in my face. My father straightened behind the table. "Lucas," he acknowledged, voice careful, "you came back." I nodded, my hands shook as if rehearsing the same humiliation from before. Every face was watching, clutching purses, holding breath, wanting to be right. Dona Valkyria pursed her lips. "Well, do you have news?" she asked, almost kind but not quite. I took the book from my bag, held it up, cover shining in the dusty light. For a moment there was only the sound of shuffling chairs. My palms sweated, I almost laughed, almost ran, but I set it down on the table, my name right there where they all could see. Brother Edda squinted. "That's your name." "It is," I said. Someone read the back out loud. A powerful testament to working-class Curitiba, Lucas Santiago's debut is honest as stone. "It's really you." Mother finally started to smile. Father cleared his throat, looking for a reason to dismiss it, that this too was nothing. But he only tapped the cover, tracing my name as if memorizing it. Junior, arms crossed in the corner, snorted. "One book, now you're rich." "No, but I made it," I said, louder than I'd meant. "I made what I set out to do." People asked questions, some biting, some hungry, some with genuine awe. Where had I lived? How did you get published? Do you know anyone famous now? I answered slowly, letting the old pain drain away with every word. Mother hugged me so tightly her fingers dug into my ribs, as if to prove I was not a ghost. By the end of the meeting, the book was being passed from hand to hand. Even Dona Valkyria smiled, grudging respect leaking through. That night at home, father sat across from me at the kitchen table, silent. He opened the book, read a few pages. He glanced up. "I see you wrote about us," he said. "I wrote about everything," I replied. He nodded, no anger. "You did not listen, but you built something." His hand rested heavy on the cover. I went for a walk through the dark streets, moonlight turning the new graffiti blue. I was still me, no lottery winner, nothing magical. But in the window of the bakery, Rita kept my book beside the register, telling anyone who'd hear, "He wrote this here, right there by the ovens." Curitiba had not changed. Not really, but walking past the old church, the little jacaranda tree by the gate, I felt something quietly reconstruct within me, like breathing air after too long underwater. The old laughter from that shaming night had been cleared away, replaced by something simple, recognition. The city that sent me out full of scorn now let me back in, and I at last understood what home meant, not forgiveness or applause, but simple room to breathe, and a table full of faces ready finally to listen.